Hello, everyone. Welcome to our SD Engineering iDirect webinar entitled SATCOM-centric AI to optimize your network and modernize your operations. My name is Jennifer Hoyle. I'm from our product marketing team. Today, you will learn about how Intuition Foresight's unified network and service management and AI-driven automation create the basis for predictive intelligence and modernization for your networks and your businesses. We will have time at the end for Q&A, so please add your questions to the Q&A field. We have several speakers, so I'm going to start by turning it over to my colleague, Amit Grover from our product management team. Amit?
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm Amit Grover. I lead the product management on Intuition Foresight. So today, firstly, thanks everyone for joining. And we will have a presentation on and some demos on the Intuition Foresight. But before we dive into the detailed capabilities and demonstrations, I just wanted to spend a few minutes introducing Foresight at a high level to all of you and why we are doing Foresight. So if you look at the industry today, the operators are just engaged in managing and operating in a much more complex environment than it was a few years ago. They want agility, they want efficiency, and they want a great customer experience. So what we're trying to do is with Intuition Foresight is we are very focused on how to help our operators to simplify and modernize the network operations. And we achieve that through a combination of things by giving them that whole operational visibility, give them the tooling for the orchestration from a single point, and then have AI-driven operations and automation to help them modernize their operations. Okay, what does that mean is our goal is to move them from the manual reactive operations and shift towards more intelligent and proactive operational mode. So that's how the vision of Foresight is. And I'm going to just walk through some of the slides to capture that at a high level and then hand it over to my team members. Okay, that's it. Let me see if I can see it. Okay, you guys can hopefully see the next slide. So before we get now into the Foresight, this slide talks about what are the challenges that we are trying to address. And this is what our customers are facing, because these are some of the key themes that we are getting as we talk to our customers. What it first is, on the left-hand side, you see it's an operational complexity. So we don't have the environment where we have just a single network operating. We have multiple orbits here. We have LEO, GEO, MEO, and we need the tooling for our operators to be able to manage these multiple networks. And because there's no standardization in the industry as such, it has led to multiple platforms and multiple vendors. What it leads is fragmented networks that we have, which is very challenging for any operator to manage. Then security is increasingly getting important every day. And because of these multiple networks, a lot more endpoints, a lot more vendors, each vendor has a different security profile. So there are a lot more attack surfaces. So we need really a good way to manage security across the board, across the platforms, all these platforms. Telemetry and data is really important in today's world. And while it's a great problem, I should say it's a great innovation that we have a lot more tooling towards getting insights into the network, but it has also led to another side effect, that there's a challenge that how to handle that huge volume of data that comes in to analyze. Today's network, they're not like the networks of yesterday. They produce a lot more telemetry, which is very helpful, but it's a challenge at how to manage all that. And then as the industry is headed towards 5G and terrestrial interoperations and to the multi-orbit, these all networks require standardization so that they can interoperate. They require orchestration at a platform level, that how to move a terminal or a subscriber or a user from one orbit to another, or from 5G to a terrestrial to a non-terrestrial end-to-end. There's a modernization requirement. The networks need to be modernized continuously, but also there's a challenge that we do not want to disrupt the existing operations as they're investing into the modernization of their infrastructure overall. And then yes, at this point, from operators' perspective, it is their expectation that that's what they try to do is how to manage their SLA as well. So that's somewhere which is easy said than done. SLAs are really hard to monitor, to report, and to manage. So with that said, I'll lead my segue into how are we addressing the challenges for this in Foresight. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, Foresight, you have to imagine it as not as an infrastructure, but this is a layer above the platforms, and this is a pure software layer. It's a management and orchestration layer that lets you manage all your networks from a single unified place, and then gives you that capability of how to have AI-driven operations. What it means is you have a single environment. You have one place where we are supporting our iDirect platform. So if you look at iDirect platforms, there are multiple platforms. We have velocity, we have dialogue, we have evolution, we have intuition. So, and even within iDirect, these the interoperability between the platforms is not that, because that's how the industry has evolved. Then we also have non-iDirect platform that the customers have. There's commercial, and at times the defense, the DoD, or the government networks are separate from that. And what it leads into is you have data coming in from all these multiple different networks, which doesn't look same. But what we need to do is we need to provide an environment where we can get all the data and we can look at it together with the same lens. What Foresight will have is it's built on the concept of being very modular. It has these capabilities as products, which is network management, service management, and AI ops. But it's not like everything all or none. It's very modular. It goes at the pace that the operator wants to go and what product they are actually interested in. So it's like you can have network management, may not service management, may not AI ops. You may just choose to have AI ops or maybe service management. So it's very modular from that perspective. And you can grow as you move forward. And all this is the real differentiator, that how this all ties together. The intelligence and the automation is through the AI, that we have used a very SATCOM-centric approach. It's not a generic AI that one would find. This is very catered to the SATCOM. It understands the aspects of what does it mean by RF link degradation? What's happening on the link side? How can I achieve more efficiency? How can I optimize my capacity? How can I manage my bandwidth well? How can I do my DNO management very well? So all that is built into the SATCOM-centric AI, which is very different from the generic AI. And then security, while we have security all over, but we are trying to always manage this through AI. AI is always monitoring the security posture and is always leading into predictive actions and trying to help the operators where the action needs to be taken. So altogether, it helps us with the business acceleration and give them how they can improve their business operations on day to day, which means how to be operationally efficient, which really cuts down the bottom line cost of operating the networks. All right, so with that said, I'm going to just look at it at a very high level and introduce you to the architecture of Foresight, and then my team members will come and they will talk about each of these pieces together. So it's built on 3 pillars. There's network management, there's service management, and there's AI ops. And what it tries to do is it tries to get the technical operations and the business operations all under the same umbrella, powered by AI. That's what it is. So the very first block, network management, is what we need to do the network provisioning, change management, network rules, how to configure each of the modems, how do you provision a modem, how do you configure your ground segment, how do you configure the carriers, everything all for multiple networks. And in this picture, maybe before I dive into network management, let me explain the picture. You have all your platforms, which are the connectivity platforms down there. Intuition is a new platform. The edge is the terminals and the core is the ground segment. Then we have velocity, evolution, dialogue in the bottom, and then you have non-idirect networks. And then you could also have networks which are just third party. They're providing data. We are using intelligence from weather, like say services, and many others to put that picture together. The whole architecture is cloud native and microservices based. It's an open API from the perspective of network management and service management. And it supports a unified interface. So now going back on, again, sorry for going back and forth, but yeah, going back on network management, this is the place where you get that unified interface to manage all your networks from one single place. And you do not have to manage network to network in a siloed environment. Then comes the service management piece, which, as I said, is a way to manage your business operations. You do the technical operations by managing a network and managing the network elements, but here we are talking about managing services, end-to-end services. So all the service orchestration and all the service management happens at this layer. And again, we'll dive into these layers a little bit later. Third comes the AI ops piece. So if you look at all the networks down below, there's a layer which we call operational data layer. What we do is we collect all the telemetry that we were talking about earlier, combine it into our data lake that we have, normalize the data, enrich the data, get it into a way that our AI engines can ingest and then can produce look into it and get the intelligence that we need for our network operations. Because what we want to do is a service assurance and provide a closed loop automation. Ultimately, it will be a predictive action that we want to take, and we want to get towards a fully autonomous system. So having said that, I think I will at this point like to hand it over to my colleagues who are going to dive into details for each of these pieces. And I'll have Josue, who's going to come and talk about network management. So Josue, do you want to do that and start driving the slides?
Yeah. Hey, good morning, good afternoon,
Thank you.
everyone. My name is Josue Galan, and I'm part of the Intuition product management, working with Amit and Rami and others on bringing Intuition Foresight to our customers. And I'm going to build on top of what Amit just shared regarding the Intuition Foresight overview, and I'll focus on the network management and the service management of Intuition Foresight. These two modules open up doors for quick wins for our customers. Our customers can modernize at their own pace. They can adopt new capabilities without having to introduce an entire new network or have to move into Intuition Core from day one. So in other words, our customers can as they can, right, as at their own pace, they can kind of move in the direction of getting operational improvements on their day-to-day activities while they're preparing for a longer term adoption of an Intuition Core network. Now, on the unified management, we are bringing all of these platforms into one place. We want to make it easier for our customers to manage their day-to-day operations. And that starts by bringing network configuration and network monitoring into a single interface, allowing operators to manage intuition, velocity, dialogue, evolution, and third-party networks all from one single UI. Now, iDirect is in a strong position to deliver this because many of our customers already have multiple evolution networks, they have velocity or dialogue networks, and many combinations of those. So this is about simplifying that operations for our customers so they can manage it in a single workflow. It is designed to be a layer on top, like Amit was mentioning earlier, a management layer that does not require any replacements. We recognize that our customers have significant investments already done in the existing networks and in the existing platforms. So we want to enable our customers to modernize, but still continue to get the best out of the investments that they've done in their networks. It, on this, Intuition Foresight also brings all of the network observability into a single visualization stack. We want to enable our customers to see metrics, alarms, events, and logs all in one place. This will allow real-time monitoring and control that looks very consistent across all the different platforms, and that can provide a view of the network health and how is the network doing, and how is the network performing, helping our customers isolate the problems and get to resolution quicker. We leverage dashboards and reports, and all of that coming into a single stack. Okay, another key aspect is the security. Like also, Amit was mentioning earlier, right? It is increasingly a necessity of all these systems to be designed with security in mind. And that is where Intuition Foresight has been designed with security first principles, where there is a common identity provider that allows users to log in one place and use that as a single sign-on to the different platforms, where there is controls and checks. There will be roles. There are roles in user management available. So there will be permissions, very fine granularity permissions for our different users that are accessing the Intuition Foresight management layer. And the last one I wanted to mention is the integration. Like, integration is the key to be part of our customers' ecosystem. There is open and standard APIs that come as part of Intuition Foresight. But as I mentioned earlier, we also recognize that our customers might already have existing integrations with existing platforms, and we will allow that to continue our customers to continue using those as they grow and adopt the Intuition Foresight technology. Now, there are some target use cases that we want to leverage. Like I mentioned earlier, right? Any existing deployment of velocity, evolution, dialogue, where our customers are looking to have unified network operations to make it easier for them rather than moving into different screens and different systems and swivel chair scenarios, just bring all of that in one place for their operations. We're also looking for organizations that are looking to modernize their operations. Like we mentioned earlier, security is a concern. So bringing in this layer that will enable our customers to have a more tight security in permissions and roles of what users can do within the system. And this also, it's a great fit for government or hybrid environments where there are sovereign networks and commercial networks coming all under one operational view. Now, on the service management side, we're partnering with GNS SAT Connect to be the engine that enables Intuition Foresight service management capabilities. And this is a meaningful expansion of our value. iDirect has a deep understanding of network provisioning and network operations. And now we're extending that into a tighter integration with service management. So we're getting closer to that OSS BSS layer. Like Amit mentioned before, all of those business case scenarios that our customers are looking for. Service management helps customers provision, configure, activate, and monitor their business needs, and not only talking about them in network construct terms, but thinking about it more of how their end customers think about it, based on bandwidth, based on SLA, based on service profiles. So this service layer also allows our customers to normalize their operations, so they can create and have a layer, an abstraction layer, a service layer that will have all of the business business logic, and that gets translated in the backend into each one of the different platforms and implement those services according to the capabilities that are available in each one of the platforms. So this will allow our customers to be more consistent in how they're managing their network, how they're managing their services, and allow them the and allow the different platforms that are underneath kind of evolve at different paces, but still keeping a service layer at that level. Now, and there will be some features and there will be features and capabilities, for instance, service catalog and subscriptions that will allow our customers to adjust to their different service models. There will be service life cycles in order to automate the service provisioning, activation, the service assurance, and make sure that that is consistent across the board. And this requires a complexities that get automated into the back end of the system. And our customers will be able to also apply usage and monetize on those services. They can track volume, they can track fair access policies, and they can have the confidence that those metrics are aligning with how they want those services to behave. And last, there will be opportunities also for HNOs and VNOs to provide these capabilities over to a VNO or different tiers. So users will be able to onboard their own customers, onboard their own partners, and allow them to provide these services to them. Let me jump in real quick as we're progressing here with the time into a quick demo. And like what I was mentioning before, in this environment for this demo, there are there's an intuition network and there is a velocity network, and we have a centralized access management, a centralized observability stack, and configuration management. So let me kind of show you that. And like I was saying earlier, this will allow our users to log in one place, have access to the different roles and responsibilities and permissions that they need within customers network, and they will be able to have single sign-on, multi-factor authentication. All of those functionalities will come in as part of Intuition Foresight. It will extend into the different platforms that they have. Now, what you can see here on the left side is the menu that provides information about configuration management, service management, the monitoring and observability that was mentioned earlier, and also AI operations, which Rami and Lars are going to talk into more detail a little bit later. So all of that comes in a single unified view. And our customers will be able to be able to see their different objects, in this case, modems and in line cards, etc., how they're distributed across the globe. They'll be able to see, turn on and off service areas and beam maps. They'll be able to filter by objects, modems, or terminals that are online, offline. They will have those capabilities in order to do that. They will also be able to overlay weather and to see how that weather is impacting their network behavior. They will have temperature, wind speed, and other different options that will be available for them to use as they are managing their network. And each one of them will have additional information where they can see a summary of the location, the status of a particular object, and provide them at a quick glance information like what is my terminal configuration, what are some key aspects about that configuration, any alarms that are in the system, what INETs a particular terminal is part of, as well as key performance indicators that will allow them to make decisions on how the objects or the terminals in this case are performing within the network and how that is doing. Okay, and I'm kind of moving quickly here due to our time, but as you can see, there is the let me show this. Let me show this again. There is the configuration aspects for intuition, and there are configuration aspects for velocity. And on the configuration side for intuition, you see the full configuration for ground system, and I can kind of pick one, show the baseline configuration. It will have a list, allow users to filter, and as they go into each one of the different objects, they can see more details, how that is configured, any alarms that are raised, what are my INETs associated to that baseband, and any metrics associated with it. And of course, they can kind of dive deeper into what is the specific configuration, make changes, what are some statistics, what are some alarms and events that are related to it. And they can do the same thing for velocity, right? They can come in here and select the velocity, and they will see something that they might already be familiar with a similar look and feel of how they can configure the networks. They can come in here and make any changes that they need to, all from one single UI. And on the observability front, we also have dashboards that provide health of the network. In this case, users can come in and look at the intuition overview that provides information about the network, about the terminals, about how those terminals are distributed across the different verticals in bandwidth consumptions, etc. All of that in providing them a view of the health of the network, and they can toggle back and forth also to the velocity network and how that network is doing and how that is performing, and kind of be able to toggle back and forth between the views. And all of these are dashboards that are configurable, that are users can come in and adjust and make their own, or they can create their own. They can create combined visualizations for all the networks depending on how they want to manage it. And each user will have different roles. So what they can see and what data they are privy to will depend on their user roles. And just to try to wrap it up here quickly, we also recognize that modems and terminals are something that gets changed quite a bit within the network. And we're bringing all of that into a single view. So users will be able to come in and see their intuition terminals, their velocity terminals, and other networks as we continue to add them with evolution and evolution defense and dialogue, etc. All of them will be consolidated in a single view to make the management a lot easier. And this is where we have that tie into, and let me quickly tie that into, let me create a terminal so we can see. And this is where we have that tied in with service management, right? When we start creating, when the user starts creating a modem, they need a very few set of information, but then that's where that tie-in comes into play with service management. For instance, in here, I can pick a particular terminal, and we have in the system configured two product lines, and each one of them having different product variances. So we have a maritime commercial and a maritime and consumer. And based on those things that the customer selects, for instance, if I come in here and pick a maritime consumer, then that gives me, okay, these are my plans that are available for my service that I can provide my end customer. And all of this is where that abstraction takes place. It ties in directly a modem into a service plan, and then all of the logic gets abstracted from our users and simplified so that they can simplify their operations. Okay, I'll stop here. Thank you.
Alrighty. Thanks a lot, Josue. So, hi everyone. My name is Rami Musawi. I'm part of the product management team, and I'm the lead on our Intuition Foresight AI Ops product, which is what we consider one of the most strategically significant components of Foresight, which is satellite ops, AI ops specifically. This is where artificial intelligence moves from generalized technology to a genuine operational advantage, and I want to walk you through exactly what that looks like. So AI has fundamentally changed how telecommunications networks are run, reducing costs, preventing outages, and enabling a level of operational scale that simply wasn't possible with traditional tools. We've taken those patterns and rebuilt them from the ground up for satellite, where the physics are different, the environments are more demanding, and the consequences of service disruptions are even higher. So our AI ops solution is organized around 4 pillars of customer value, and let me take you through each one of them. Starting with the first pillar, which is around the AI-assisted service assurance. And the promise there is straightforward. We want to find and fix problems before your customers even experience them. Using AI models that are purpose-built for satellite network behavior, our AI ops product can predict service degradations, detect the early signatures of outages, and identify root causes significantly faster than the traditional methods. What makes this different is the agentic layer running beneath it. Investigating a network-wide issue manually across hundreds or even thousands of terminals can take days or even weeks. So our AI agents do that work continuously in the background without any human intervention. And unlike a static alert systems, this type of automation is dynamic. It adapts to new failure patterns as they emerge. And for your operations teams, that translates directly into faster resolution times, stronger SLA performances, and fewer escalations that are reaching your end customers. Now, the second pillar is what we call the closed loop automation, where insights become action. Foresight AI Ops doesn't just surface a problem and wait. It actually can act on findings directly, or at least guide your team to the right actions faster through AI agents that interface with your network platforms. To make this tangible, one of our government customers faced a real challenge. Field personnel operating in remote environments across multiple platforms, they weren't fully trained on. That was kind of their scenario. And by abstracting that complexity behind these AI agents, the operators in the field can get the support, analysis, and the provisioning assistance they need without requiring a specialist on site. And for commercial operators, the benefit is equally concrete. It means less manual intervention, it means lower operational overhead, and overall faster service delivery at scale. Now, the third pillar is all around security, and I want to be direct here. This is a high priority area for us and one where we see strong demand from both enterprise and government customers. Our direction is to have AI-enabled threat detection, automated containment, and continuous policy compliance with elements like zero trust monitoring, cyber hardened links, and automated response triggers across your network. We're actively developing these capabilities in collaboration with specialized engineering partners, and we're moving to deliberately ensure that what we deliver meets the standards of our environments and our customers. And fourth, monetization and business insights. So your network is generating a continuous stream of usage data that most operators aren't fully utilizing. Foresight's AI ops layer turns that data into actionable intelligence, identifying where capacity can be optimized, understanding how your end customers are experiencing the service, and servicing demand trends that can inform new service offerings. And this goes beyond just operational efficiency. It gives you a commercial lens on your network that can directly support revenue growth and margin improvements. Now, one point that's worth emphasizing here is that AI ops is designed to deploy alongside your existing infrastructure, and that's a theme that you'll see mentioned throughout this presentation, there's no requirement for a full platform migration, whether you're running iDirect, non-iDirect, or mixed environments, regardless of whether your data is in files, databases, or other systems. We can begin realizing value immediately without disrupting what's already working. And it's not just a roadmap conversation that we're talking about here. AI Ops is already live in the field with a production customer today. QCon is one of our great partners and is running our solutions in their network, leveraging our AI Ops network insights to proactively adjust equipment and network configuration, staying ahead of service impacts and maximizing the capacity across their fleet. Our approach from here is to expand that footprint, bringing additional customers into structured pilots and to tackle their specific use cases and operational pain points. And we'll have our early access to this technology as early as Q3 this year. Now, rather than just describe what the product can do, we'd like to show you. And so my colleague Lars will now walk you through a live demonstration of what our team has built. Lars, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Rami. Yeah, my name is Lars Kleeblatt. I'm heading the Solutions Architecture Group, and the team has been very busy building the demo that you're about to see now. Just share my browser real quick, and coming up now. All right. Okay. So maybe you have seen the previous demos that we did in, I think it was end of last year with QCon. So this is now in a stepped up version, let's say, that is a bit more advanced, where we actually changed the user interface to be a bit more responsive and added a couple of interesting features that I will take you through now. So when we land on this page, we basically can see just on a very high level, we can see a signal quality graph for the past month, similarly to a traffic graph for the last month, and then we can see a forecast window. So this is just to level set here. This demo is not connected to a live NMS, so we actually import the data once per week. This is why the cutoff here is about a week ago. Then we pair this data with data we get from a weather information provider or weather API. And then since we model the behavior of each individual terminal, we can then predict what we're expecting in terms of performance degradation, depending on which weather phenomenon is the most impacting one for that terminal. So we've already seen some obvious things. Rain, for example, has an impact, but some terminals are also susceptible to humidity, for example, or wind. And that's actually something that I will show you in just a bit, but just to keep this in mind, the models that we have, they will keep track of past behavior, and then based on that, they will predict future behavior. All right, then at the same landing page, we also have a couple of insights here that are AI generated. So based on what the system is finding out in the back, we highlight a few that are then explained or taken forward with an LLM. So the operator can see more or less what's happening, if there's something critical that needs action or not. Okay, so let me give you an example now when we're looking at the signal quality versus weather page. So I can do different things here, right? In this UI, I can, for example, zoom into the map. Oh, it's a bit late. Okay, so I can, sorry. Let me move in here. So I can actually filter, for example, filter out a region based on my lasso tool here, and then all the information on my screen will actually update, and I can filter out based on that. You can actually see here on the top, this is the back end of solar outages that were happening in South Africa, the end of March, beginning of April. So this is a typical pattern that you can see here. In the previous, leading up to that event, we actually had a warning in the highlights that were basically saying, hey, solar outages are about to happen. Okay, so I can also pick an individual remote and just filter by one, and then I can see a clear correlation here, for example, rain intensity and signal drops, right? We can see here the signal is fairly stable. So there's some small day-to-day fluctuations, which are normal for this network. But then we can clearly see as soon as the rain intensity goes up, we see expected rain fade. Okay. Now on this initial site, what we can see is actually what we are sorting in a negative order. So the worst performers is what we show first. And I can, for example, pick one here. I can say, okay, you know, the lowest performers are the ones that I would probably want to look at from a network operator's point of view. So let me pick one and see what is actually happening to this terminal. So we can see here a very strange graph, right? We can see, okay, there's a slow decay, but there's also every now and then signal is actually going up. So that is not fully explainable by rain only. So there must be something else going on. So I can actually ask my agent now here and say, analyze this terminal for me. All right, now this will take a little bit. It's pulling in a lot of data from sources in the backend. And while this is happening, I'm just going to keep on talking. So the interesting thing here is really what's happening in the back is that the data that's been analyzed is there for the LLM to actually be taken further into the human language realm. So this is really interesting when what we've seen before in Foresight, where we can actually combine multiple platforms from different vendors, different iDirect platforms, then you will very quickly reach a scenario where similar things have different names. So it gets very confusing. So for even in iDirect platforms, you know, we call it forward carrier, downstream. You know, it gets very messy at some point. Now the beauty of the agentic framework and LLMs is that they can translate that. So if you're a new or a junior operator and you know this is your second day on the job, you don't necessarily need to understand the full function of these platforms. You can actually have your assistant guiding you through the system and through troubleshooting exercises. And that's one of the big benefits of having the agentic framework next to you and being able to analyze data that is available. Okay, so now let me show this real quick, and this might be a bit hard to read. So I'm just going to go over some of the highlights here. So it is saying, okay, I looked at 1 month and the status is degraded. How does it define degraded? Well, it is behaving worse than the rest of the network. So the rest of the network has a much higher SNR. All terminals are considered equal because they all have the same antenna size. Footprint is pretty much the same everywhere. So it should perform better. So the system already flagged it and said this is not good. And on top of that, it actually found out that there is a wind component that has an influence on these fluctuations. So that is something where normally you would say, okay, this is probably something related to the physical installation. And what it will do then here, it will actually give you advice and will say, okay, you should really go back and have a look at pointing, right? Go there, check it out. This antenna is not according to specs, right? So then it even says that it is linked to, or that the mount is probably loose. And this is why we're seeing this being affected by wind. All right. So this is just one of the small details or one of the small features that you can see here with an agent in your toolbag that can help you troubleshoot remotes. Now, another feature that I mentioned already in the beginning or spoke about is that we can take weather forecast information and then pair it up with the data and the models that we already built for each terminal, and then can build a prediction of how this terminal will perform. And I'm going to pick one here now. This one here seems to have the highest impact. And then we can see, okay, rain for this particular terminal, rain is the most contributing factor for degradation. And we're expecting here on this day, which is the 6th of May, we were expecting very high rainfall. This is 2022 millimeters per hour. This is significant rainfall. And with that, based on past behavior, we're expecting about a 10 dB drop in SNR. Now, there might be not much more we can do about this particular terminal other than notifying the user or the operator of this terminal. This is much more interesting, however, in a teleport scenario. So let's say this is a KU band network, so they are affected by rain, but not as much. But if this was a KA band network and we have a backup teleport, we can actually monitor specifically the two teleport locations, the main and the weather redundant teleport. And we could even trigger actions. We could say, hey, once we're seeing a certain amount of rain being predicted for site A, then switch over to the other teleport. So these are the kind of things that we can actually automate with a framework. I see time is getting close, so let me switch this up a little bit. Okay, now another area that we're looking at, and this is an Evo network. The upstream technology is robust, but it's not the most efficient one compared to our latest technology. But with the data that we have, we can actually look into this a bit closer and see if there is room for optimization. Now, here we can see that the operator actually did some modifications to the invert group. So I'm just going to focus on the latest part here, where we can reduce this picture or make this a little bit clearer. Okay, so we have 3 different carrier types in this invert group configuration. So 2 small ones and then 1 large one configured with QPSK 2/3. Now with that, we can also see that the target C over N null is this red line here, more or less. At least this is where the remotes are trying to be. And with that, we can see a certain amount of headroom because we know what the maximum power is for these terminals, and we know how they've been operating in the past. So based on that, we can actually see that there is room for improvement. And that's what our upstream optimizer is doing. It can actually calculate for the past X amount of time, and in this case, we're looking at 2 weeks, what would have been the operational improvement or the performance improvement if we would have made a change to the carrier configuration. And the only change that we're actually looking at is a mod code change. So we're not even changing sizes or anything else. So we're just going for a simple mod code change. Now, we're doing this in 2 dimensions. Like we want to create more capacity, but we also want it to be attainable, right? So we cannot just create higher order mod cards and bigger carriers, but then we will create contention on lower carriers that terminals are able to achieve rather than the higher order ones. Okay, so then with the help of AI, it will now explain to me why exactly this particular combination was chosen. So in the backend, there's actually a lot of computation running, a lot of different scenarios that are being compared. And this is, the winning combination. Okay, so what we can see here is that in this particular case, with the reserves that we have in terms of margin, without losing anything, we're keeping the same rain fade margin, the same everything else, we can actually gain up to 11%. And this is average. Now, if I see the specifics per day, the variation, it can even go up to like 18% in the peak. And worst case, well, we gain nothing, right? So it's quite a significant improvement. Now, this is nice. And let me go ahead and then just apply it. Right? So I can use my agent again, who knows how to talk to the system. And I will tell it now, okay, go ahead and apply the proposed changes. And now my agent will go ahead and take this information. So it will look up what the information is and it will say, okay, we have this change to do on those 2 carrier IDs. And it will now talk to the NMS, find out what the configuration of the system is, and then take the information that is coming from a different part of the system and then execute the change. All right, now I'm getting my feedback here, and it is telling me what the configuration was and what has happened. Okay, so it added a second invert group composition. So this is very impactless, right? It hasn't done anything that interrupted traffic. So they created a new inbox group that has more or optimized carriers, and with that we're gaining bandwidth, right? So this is now active, it's live, and I didn't even touch the NMS, right? I've done it all through this UI, completely independent of the clients that we use for Evo. And now I'm going to roll it back because let's say I was a bit too hasty and shouldn't have done this. I can just say roll back. Now my agent will go ahead and see that what the last change was and actually revert it back into its original state. I'm just going to wait for this real quick, then hand it back to Gloria. At the Q&A session. All right, you can see here rollback operation was successful. The second inbox group composition has been removed and we're back on the original one. All right. And thank you very much for your time. And I will hand it back to Jennifer.
Thank you, Lars. Okay, let's see here. We're going to do Q&A now in just a few moments, so please put any questions you have into the Q&A module. We'd like to leave you with our vision for how Intuition Foresight puts our customers onto a journey to fully autonomous networks. So to summarize what you've seen, Foresight will deliver these 5 important elements. The first is modernization, whether you're combining networks or you want to add additional features to your existing network. With Foresight, you can expand control, extend service functions, and add automation and analytics. We talked about unified management, one environment for all functions and networks. You'll receive deep insights from standardized and enriched real-time data, including third-party data to inform your operations. Network intelligence delivered by AI-driven predictive and prescriptive analytics to automate configuration, provisioning, and security. And ultimately, autonomous networks. These unified applications will enable closed-loop self-healing networks, giving you operational advantage, the necessary security, and the functions you need to accelerate your business. So let's turn now to questions. If I could have all the speakers re-enable your camera. We had 2 questions come in that were about support for our existing platforms, Evolution, Dialogue, and Velocity. When will those be supported by Foresight?
Sure, I can take that question. So firstly, when we say Foresight and whether these platforms would be supported, I think we have to look at it in the context of which product are we talking here? Because as you saw, we are pretty modular. We have NMS and service management, and then we have AI ops. So I'll talk from that perspective. For the NMS and service management, because we want to give that single pane of glass view to our customers. So for Velocity, we will be supporting it in Q3 of this year. So it shouldn't be that far. We are already working. Team is working very hard to get this out the door in Q3. And then we will have Dialogue and Evolution coming in early 2027. And for Evolution, I must call out that it's a really very rich interface that the existing operators will appreciate, because so far Evo NMS is different, but in case of Intuition NMS, it's what we call native integration. So the Evo will be having a very nice refresh around the NMS, and it will be integrated well into the other pieces if they choose to, if there's an interest on the other products. When it comes to the AI ops, and again, service management, AI ops, these pieces are just not restricted to iDirect network. These are also for any non-iDirect network that we have. So we can put, because we have partnered with GNS, and that has given us a leverage on the service management side. And on the AI ops side, we are building it in a way that it allows us to ingest data in a standardized format that we will publish, and we have the whole data pipeline infrastructure that we'll put in place to ingest it from a non-iDirect network, because we know how the satellite network is looking for. Okay, so for the AI ops piece, for the evolution, we will be able to get it out in the customer's hand in, again, Q3 of this year. And then in the following Q4s and the Q1, we'll have the other platforms also supported.
Okay, thank you, Amit. The next question is, I am assuming that the Intuition core platform includes NMS, a network management system. If that is part of the Intuition delivery, why do I need Foresight?
Okay, I can take that one. So Intuition Core is only connectivity platform at this point. So what we would call, so we are trying to work in the direction where the industry and the technology is headed, which means we're not looking at a one monolith solution that has everything. We have created intentionally a modular design where we have separated out the management and the orchestration layer from the connectivity platforms. And that is because our management and orchestration will stay uniform consistently for all the platforms. So when we say Intuition Core, it is the connectivity platform. What it means by connectivity platform is that you will get the baseband operations and you will get the network processing operations. So the data center where all the network data is being handled, all the protocols, over-the-air protocols, all that is in the NPC, what we call Network Processing Center. And then we have the baseband. Intuition Foresight is separate from that. When somebody wants an Intuition platform, we'll bundle that. It's a bundled thing where you get Intuition Core, which is your connectivity, infrastructure, and software around that. And then you get Intuition Foresight NMS piece with that. So that's how those two pieces are bundled. Hopefully that addresses the question.
Yeah. We have one more question. I'm going to squeeze it in. I know we're at the last minute, but I think it will be helpful, and then we'll close up. And that is, the question is, do I have to have an Intuition core network in order to use the different modules within Intuition Foresight?
No. So that's again ties into what I was saying earlier. That's why we have decoupled that. You do not need Intuition Core for Intuition Foresight. So if our current operators, this is really a great thing with that I would like to emphasize. Today, operators are, especially the small operators, they have this tedious and overhead that they have to manage their service operations using another OSS BSS system. So they end up maintaining two. They're working on two different setups, two different systems, and trying to always converge them together manually. Now you can just have Intuition that you can layer on top of your existing networks, and it will glue in. So to answer, you don't need Intuition Core for your service management to work, for your AI ops to work. For you, obviously, if you have Intuition Core, you need Intuition NMS. But the way we are architecting NMS is also that you don't need Intuition Core because it's a unified interface. You can use your Intuition Core NMS also to manage your existing networks. So your existing dialogues, velocities, and other networks can be managed by Foresight NMS. So we have decoupled that.
Great. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, everybody, for your participation and your interest and time. We will be sending some follow-up information. For those of you who wish to know more, you can also, of course, reach out to your sales rep if you have specific questions, or there's also a contact us button on our website if you don't have a relationship with a sales rep. Thank you again, and we wish you all a good day.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.